A federal appellate judge is holding writer E. Jean Carroll's $5 million civil judgment against President-elect Donald Trump. Now, the case stems from Trump reportedly attacking Carroll inside a department store while in a changing room while in the mid-90s.
Trump will skip the 2023 trial, denying he assaulted her, but his testimony in a follow-up trial earlier this year resulted in a separate award of more than $83 million for Carroll. That second trial resulted from comments Trump made in 2019 after Carroll first went public with the accusations in a memoir.
So we'd like to bring in Chief Legal Analyst Khalif Rhodes to this conversation. And Khalif, I think it's very important, as some of these cases can kind of get lost in the headlines, differentiating between this $5 million settlement and this $83 million settlement.
Both same incidents, both alleging the rape that took place. The jury did not convict of rape but of sexual assault. But in between that time frame, former president-elect, now Trump, made statements about her when he was the current president at the time. I know president-elect, former president, right, playing ping pong. But while he was the president, he defamed her. What did she do? She sued him. So during the process of the second trial, she was awarded the $83 million, but it's all from the same instant. Not two different incidents, but yes, two different trials, two different jury awards, two different jury amounts. With this one, the $5 million, Trump's legal team said that the amount was excessive and that they believe that the judge erred on two counts. First, that he should not have allowed two different witnesses to testify that they were formerly assaulted by Trump, and he allowed the Access Hollywood tape where Trump talked about approaching women and his attempt to approach them in any manner that he felt that was legal and or illegal.
When we talk about this, Khalif, though, you were saying it, president-elect, going back and forth. What effect does this have on President-elect Trump's political future or not?
I think that the damage that this could have done would have been done in the election right now. And obviously there was no damage. He was successful. But I do think they've laid the foundation for their continued attack in terms of making sure that folks recognize that they are attacking the judicial system. First, it was the weaponization of the Department of Justice. Now, after this outcome yesterday, his attorney said, we will appeal A, and then B, we are tired of the weaponization of the justice system. Now, this is a private citizen that took it upon themselves to file a lawsuit, spent their own money, so there was no system behind this. But in their mindset, this, I guess, lays the foundation for other people, not Trump, but other people that are within that Trump vein that believe the justice system as a whole needs to be overhauled.
What do you make of Trump's lawyers' arguments that the evidence that was presented and the testimonies from two other accusers who were not Carroll should not have been allowed in court?
I'd say that I think they made great arguments. I mean, that's what you want your attorneys to do. If I have a criminal case, and this wasn't a criminal case, I'm trying to get the bad evidence out. In a civil case, it's the exact same way. Figure out what strengths my case has, figure out what weaknesses we have, and then try to figure out how we remove those weaknesses. And we do that by having these evidentiary hearings and trying to get them excluded before the trial starts. Specifically the Access Hollywood tape. If you look at this case, if you look at the hush money case, it came up multiple times and two judges looked at it different ways. And so I agree, his attorneys made a great argument, which is this case is more prejudicial than probative. This will cause more damage, more harm to my client than more help to the other side. And if the judge is able to say that, they're supposed to exclude it. So his team made the right argument. One judge said, you know what? We'll let the tape come in its entirety. Judge Merson in the hush money case said, you know what? I will let the tape come in, but they can't hear it. You can just bring it in through introducing evidence in terms of snippets of it. So both judges heard the argument of the tape, but both didn't want it to come in certain capacities.
Chief Legal Correspondent Khalif Rhodes, this is why we have you on retainer, bro. Oh, at least not my retainer. It's not my money, but you know somebody's retainer. Thank you so much. We will talk to you a little later in the hour.